Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys football. It is bowl season. We're continuing to preview some bowls, talk about how the teams look in 2023. We're taking a look at the Cheez-It Bowl between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Florida State Seminoles. If you guys have been listening to us for a little bit, you know how high I am on the Florida State Seminoles, and quite frankly, how high we were on the Brent Venables hire in Oklahoma over the summer. There's a lot to like about both programs, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you expect in this game, players to watch, potentially coming back in 2023. Before we do, though, just want to say thank you guys for the support. You guys have been absolutely awesome with the support and all the comments and all the likes. We really do appreciate it. The best way, if you guys do enjoy the content and want to support the boys, is to subscribe to the channel. So we appreciate if you guys give that a consideration. Dill, let's get into it. Oklahoma, Florida State. What are your early feels on this game here?
Yeah, this is kind of a fun game. I think this is a game that features two teams that obviously passionate fan bases, huge names, and I think good future expectations. Like things are going in the right way. What Oklahoma did on the recruiting trail, really impressive. What Florida State has coming back especially with Jordan Travis saying he's going to play it next year. Just two teams that I think are super optimistic about the future and what they can be. So I think this game, honestly, I think a lot of people are going to be watching and really excited about it.
Yeah, talk about numbers for a bowl game. These are two of the best fan bases in the whole entire country squaring off. Florida State going for a 10-win season. Oklahoma, yeah, probably not the expectation you thought you'd see on the field. But a lot of Sooner fans have to be optimistic about where the program is going, and they're going for a over 500 season as well. I want to start with Florida State because I think this team, again, it can be so special in 2023. And Florida State fans might even be a little disappointed about how this 2022 campaign shook out. I mean, this is a team that they lost to Wake Forest, NC State, and Clemson. If you run all three of those games back, I'm probably picking Florida State in all three of them. I think this team is the best in the ACC. Unfortunately, they played those three games back to back to back when they were very banged up. You look at some of the most important players on that team. Jordan Travis, I'm not sure that ankle was 100% when he was playing in some of those games. Jared Verse, probably in my mind, the second best edge rusher in the whole entire country, was banged up. They had some other guys. Fabian Lovett was banged up. Robert Scott Jr. Like some of the most important players to that Florida State team were banged up during the three most important parts of that game. And then when you saw they got off to that bye week, they went on a tear. This team looks like they're the best team in the ACC, and you win this football game here, you're probably a top 10 team heading into 2023. It's a big one.
Yeah, and that's I'm kind of with you. Like aside from that little 3-stretch game they had, they've been really, really good. And Jordan Travis,
yes,
man, the leaps and bounds he's made over the course of his career, that might be the most impressive transformation of any quarterback I've ever seen. Because when you first saw him, it looked like, oh, they're just going to try to run it. They're not going to throw. They're going to run an offense that's kind of unconventional and see if they can kind of just get a field goal, just move the ball a little bit.
Jordan Travis's Heisman campaign for 2023 starts now. I mean, what we saw this dude do development in the pocket and being able to throw from the pocket. We all know he's one of the best athletes at the quarterback position in the whole entire country. What he did throwing from the pocket is massive. And you look at some of the guys that are coming back. Micah Pittman already says he's coming back. Winston Wright Jr., who didn't even play a snap for Florida State after getting in a brutal car accident. He was one of my favorite players in the transfer portal last year. He's going to come back. I don't know about Johnny Wilson, but he was also adding some tremendous juice. You get a stable of running backs coming back. You've already hammered the offensive line through the portal. You'll have a good offensive line back.
You're also going to have Hakeem Williams. Like, let's not forget about him. These 5-star wideouts seem to make impressions in early action. So to keep him locked up, and that's certainly going to add a lot of firepower to that offense too, I think.
And I think this bowl game can really kind of jumpstart that Florida State offensive juggernaut campaign in 2023. And you look at the defensive side of the ball. In this game, I mean, Jared Verse is coming back. As much as you wanted him to maybe not play as good and stay one more year, he's just too good. Probably going to be a top 10 pick. I think he should be a top 10 pick. He's going. But you have a lot of guys that you like on the defensive side of the ball too. But again, this Florida State offense, the potential it has in 2023, I'm extremely excited to see what this team brings to the table in the bowl game and then carry that momentum onwards to 2023. In Oklahoma, it's not a rebuild for the program, but what Lincoln Riley wanted to do versus what Brent Venables wants to do on both sides of the football, it's different. I think it was foolish of us, including the fans and us including, to think that snap your fingers is just going to continue the success. I mean, the amount of roster turnover you saw and the different scheme that you wanted to play, like it was going to be a little bit of a bumpy transition. But Oklahoma's bringing in one of the best recruiting classes in the country. You have a guy like Jackson Arnold who is coming up. There's a lot to look forward to for Oklahoma, and you're about to see some really young players kind of get a little bit more chance to cook. Jalil Farouk on the offensive side of the ball, Jaden Gibson. Let me see what those guys can do with Theo Weiss in the transfer portal. The Sooner fans have a lot to be excited for, too.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of young players. You're going to see 2 young tackles, I suspect, because the other 2 are moving on. And so, yeah, you're going to see Oklahoma. You're going to see that next year's team pretty quick. And I'm thinking about what this offense can be. I kind of think Dylan Gabriel needs to play really well and have a really good offseason if he's going to fend off Jackson Arnold, because that feels like the way it's going to be a very competitive battle. And I thought Gabriel played okay this year, but that's kind of where I leave it. I thought he played good, but not really good enough to be a really good team. So if he doesn't make some strides, I think it's going to be very hard to fend off Jackson Arnold, because obviously he's coming in as a top 15 quarterback or top 15 overall recruit, one of the higher quarterbacks in general. And I wouldn't be surprised if they want to see a little more through the air and a little more firepower, because they have the wideouts to do it.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, I think, needs to play good, and I think it's going to be a perfect situation for the Sooners, just because you're getting Jackson Arnold to you have a veteran guy in Dylan Gabriel who's a proven good quarterback at the collegiate level, and then you have a young gun, kind of like what Michigan had the other year with J.J. McCarthy coming in as a true freshman, Cade McNamara coming back.
Clemson was dealing with, like, again, it's like you have a guy who's there who's playing good, but like, can you win a national title with them? You do need to wonder it, and obviously Clemson kind of figured out they needed to move on, and now DJ's moving on too. But that's kind of what I'm thinking, is those situations you don't want to waste your time with when you have one of these young star quarterbacks. I don't think you want to waste a ton of years. If he's ready to go, I think you turn him loose.
Yeah, and then on the defensive side of the ball, I think you want to see more of a development on the back end for Oklahoma. I mean, what Brent Venables wants to do is he wants to get downhill, he wants to send pressure, and he wants to kind of leave his DBs a little bit on an island and really impact the quarterback. That secondary left a lot to be desired, giving up over 260 yards through the air passing. Some young guys like Billy Bowman, keep an eye on him. You want to see some of those guys start playing a little bit better football, because for that Brent Venables defense to be successful, you have to have guys that you trust on the back end to win those one-on-one matchups. That didn't happen a lot for the Sooners defense the first year. And I think you're looking for just a little bit more of a Brent Venables style defense as you head into 2023.
And this is going to be a test. Like, we'll kind of see what some of these guys are made of. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a handful of freshmen playing next year. Peyton Bowen, wouldn't be surprised to see him on the field. Japware, hopefully I'm saying that name kind of close to correct, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the field a fair amount. So I think you're going to get a lot of reinforcements, if you will, and you're probably going to add a few more in the portal. But I think you'd like to see guys like Billy Bowman play really good football. If Jaron Kanak gets an opportunity, or that other linebacker, Kip Lewis, like, you want to see those guys play good football. And I like to see them get a shot, because you are going to be turning this defense over, because frankly, it just wasn't good enough this year. So you want to see if those young guys can kind of be the leaders in moving into the next generation of OU ball, if you will.
Yeah, getting to the pick, Florida State 9-point favorites, that smells about right. I probably am laying with Florida State, because when you look at bowl games, betting on bowl games, you look for motivation being one of them. I think Florida State wants to win 10 games. I think they want to enter 2023 as a top 10 team in the country. I think that is how good they are. And all these guys are coming. Like Jared Verse probably should have opted out of this game. He's going to play in this game because he wants to win this football game. Oklahoma, on the other hand, tough season. I don't know if this game matters as much. I think it's more of a let's see what the young guys are bringing to the table for next year. Versus Florida State, I think, wants to win this game. And quite frankly, during the last 5 games of the season, They're clearly the better team.
I mean, if they play full strength in the middle of the year, I think they're 10-ish point favorites anyway. Like, Florida State had a really, really good year and are a really good team. Oklahoma obviously struggled throughout a good chunk of it. So, I think Oklahoma is losing a lot more to draft and other opt-outs than Florida State, who's really not getting gutted by any means. And I think they were the better team anyway. So I kind of am on this Florida State side. If you
10 points for a Florida State team and how good that offense has been the last 5 weeks, like, it's not that many points, especially when you're going up against the Sooners defense that has struggled as much as it did, giving up almost 30 points per game. Give me Florida State -9. It's actually one of the bowl games I feel most confident in. And again, we'll wrap it up with that. Again, if you enjoy the content, consider subscribing. Both the Sooner fans and the Seminole fans, you guys have been absolutely awesome, and we appreciate all the support you guys have shown, and we'll talk to y'all later.